And then I also did a fair bit of history research. So looking at Australian history. And so the photo you see here is me with the Australia's Education Minister winning an award for like Young Historian of the Year, which was really exciting.
Yeah, sure. That sounds like a really fantastic high school, like 4 years, right? You fulfill a lot of things. So, were you interested in the climate environmental issues like always? So, how this thing begins, where to start from?
Yeah, I touched on it a little bit in my self-intro, but really I think environmental studies and my interest in that, and now my continued interest today, even though I'm in college, really came from an understanding that it can really affect a lot of different fields and interests that I had. And as someone that didn't necessarily want to settle whether, I wanted to pursue coding or pursue language, um, allowed me to really kind of see the connections between those industries through something that was quite innovative, like environmental studies. And I will say, my interest was also kind of harped on by um, how environmental studies is so talked about in the media today, how there's so many job opportunities, so many opportunities for innovation. And I thought, I want to put myself in a position where I'm pursuing a field that's exciting.
Yeah, sure. Let's move on to next page. So, how this research program started, right? So, at some point, you had to change your research focus, as you shared us earlier, from like a history, eventually lying to the environmental climate change. What that's happening? Has your faculty advisor provide any support regarding the project topics?
Yeah, sure. So really my decision to conduct a research project, I was suggested to go to Scholar Launch because my kind of profile to apply for top American universities was quite strong, but the key thing it lacked was research experience. And they really said that's something that these top US colleges really, really value because obviously they're research institutions. Harvard's a private research university. And so I was suggested to go to Scholar Launch. And we kind of worked together and I thought kind of I could combine my interests, make it something interesting and fun and enriching, but also kind of useful to showcase my talents. And so we really settled on doing a research project with Scholar Launch.
Yeah, definitely. So, in terms of the faculty advisor, who did you work with?
Yes. So I had both a mentor and a teaching assistant. My mentor was Dr. Kerry Ann Anderson, who's a postdoctoral research at Vanderbilt University. And I chose her because she had done a lot of work with data analytics and had a lot of expertise in that area. And my research project would end up focusing on data analysis of fires in regional Australia. So that was my academic mentor. And then my teaching assistant was a Yale alumni, Alfred Renault, um, who had studied computer science. So again, kind of emphasizing that technical, analytical ability that I wanted to showcase in my research projects.
Sure. Just a follow-up question here. When you mean, what did you mean like a fire stick farming? As a people who are not familiar with the concept, so how can we explain this?
Yeah, for sure. So, my research project in a nutshell, I wanted to analyze which different farming locations in Australia would benefit from a technique of kind of burning of the land called fire stick farming. So, fire stick farming is a very useful tool used by Indigenous Australians, essentially to not only reduce fire risk but then also to increase nutrients in the soil. And so I wanted to use data analytics to identify key markers of the local agricultural, landscape. So like maybe soil quality or the type of grass or what type of animals or crops are on this land. And then from that be able to make a decision of with my algorithm that I ended up making with the support of my team, oh, this land is would really benefit from fire stick farming, or oh, this piece of land wouldn't.
Yeah, definitely. I recently watching the Clarkson's farming, the English BBC host that he bought a huge, right, huge like farm to grow the agricultures, to grow everything, and just by watching the show, I already know the agriculture is not something easy. It's like tons of work, and just the one mistake means you get nothing for the whole year. So definitely, I think the topic you're studying is meaningful, especially for farmers, right, or who are in the agriculture field. So let's develop to the research program itself. So so what kind of faculty support are you getting from this in terms of the research programs?
Yeah, sure. So I had a meeting at least once a week with either my academic mentor, Dr. Carrie Ann, or my
Mm,
teaching assistant, Alfred.
mm,
So that would really look like my sessions with them would be a bit different considering their different roles. Working with Dr. Carrie Ann was very much focused on, what is the trajectory of my research and what are my next steps to achieve my goals, and
mm.
obviously leveraging her knowledge as a postdoctoral researcher at Vanderbilt to do this in a way that actually is professional. It's not just like a high school project, but actually something that, um, you know, people could gain value from. And then every other week with Alfred, we'd really be working on looking at those different kind of data analysis tools and integrating them into my research. And a lot of it was me actually having to learn, these different university research tools and languages like R. And I was really fortunate to have that expert guidance from them.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So, you mentioned that you are using some data analysis tools to help you, right? To analyze those data, like RStudios, like ArcGIS. So the things many high schoolers have never, encountered before. So, what was it like to sit down with those for the first time, right? First time you saw all those tools, how you feel like?
Yeah, I think I really liked how the program was set out in terms of it really encouraged you to try to look for the tools that you thought would be useful for your project. But then of course you would be guided by the experts. So I was encouraged to go research, what are the kind of tools that are being used at the moment at the top academic institutions for research similar to mine. So obviously I got kind of down to ArcGIS, R, I even used a bit of Power BI, even Excel, something basic, but still very useful skills. And then with that, during my sessions, especially in the initial stages, we would be saying, okay, what tools do I want to use? How do we want to learn them? So I think it was great because I still had that independence and, obviously acting like a student researcher, someone that doesn't necessarily have someone holding their hand the whole time, but at the same time still having a lot of support.
Yeah, sure. That's good to hear actually. I do have a lot of students when they come to the research, they always worry they don't get enough support from the faculty advisors because you meet with them like a weekly basis, right? Each week maybe just 1 hour. They just worry about okay, out from the 1 hour, can we have enough support, enough resource to conduct my research? So something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I will
definitely.
say as well, just on that, whether you get enough support, it might only sound like 1 hour a week, but you're doing it over 6 months. And a lot of it is like that 1 hour is so efficient because like your mentors and your teaching assistants are so professional. So it doesn't feel like it's just an hour. It really feels like it was something in depth and planned. Um, so I think it is like a very efficient time use.
Yeah, sure. That's good to hear. And I'll making sure I'll pass along to all the future interested students to making sure that they will get enough support whenever, like how much they need. So let's get back to your research programs. So during the time, right, do you have any challenges that you encounter and eventually how did you overcome them?
Yeah, it's actually interesting you say this because actually during the research, I was really struggling with my timetable. so my schedule, I did this research project in grade 11, which I know is like maybe a bit later, but I really wanted to do it. And I felt quite stressed with exams and everything. And so there was a bit of trouble with kind of me having to cancel last minute on my academic mentor or my teaching assistant, which was quite challenging for scheduling. But my team, their advice really was, how can we help you make your next 2 weeks as easy as possible and be able to still enjoy this research and also be most efficient? So I think, they're experts. They've been the same position as me and other students who are struggling with time management. They understand kind of the workarounds that you need to do. And so I really appreciate their expertise.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think all of my 11th grade students currently, they are like a superhero to me. They're multitasking many things, right? The ICT, the school essays, and also they have to conduct the research program. So yeah, the time frame is totally something difficult for all the students, but we glad that you finish it. So your faculty advisor gave like a piece of advice that I think is really valuable. So he said the small progress is still progress, and that stepping stones matters even when the big goals isn't fully reached. That shifted how you thought about the work.
For sure.
Yeah. So what is the final outcome of the research program?
Yeah, it actually ended up being a really big part of my application, and I believe me actually getting into Harvard. So I ended up making like I want to say a 20-page research proposal on what this could look like on a larger scale because of obviously some of the challenges I had with my research. But I was actually able to leverage that to apply for a few different invention-based competitions in
Okay.
Australia, and I was able to end up being the national winner of the Snowy Hydro Powering Up the Future competition, which I ended up putting on my honors list when on
Okay.
my common application when I applied overseas for university. So I was really excited with that outcome. And I think it was really nice to be able to share that success with the Scholar Launch team.
Yeah, thank you. That's actually answered the next question I'm going to ask. What other places did you use for the research? So definitely the competition, right?
Yeah, so definitely the competition. Um, yeah, probably that was the main one, I think. And also, like the process of doing the research helped me immensely with some of my school studies because I understood kind of the processes you needed to achieve such like a high level of work, which I really valued. But yeah, the competition, that was really exciting.
Yeah, so I think you did mention a little bit about the research in the college application. So only the honor list, or have you mentioned anything in terms of the IC?
I think I briefly mentioned it in one of my activities essays that a lot of the universities ask for because I felt like this research really showcased not only my passion for environmental studies, but my ability as someone not only to talk and advocate, but also to put in action. I think a lot of people are very good at saying, oh, I'm passionate about X or passionate about Y, but I think I was able to show that I'm genuinely interested. I want to approach it with innovation and kind of I want to demonstrate that this is what I'm going to do in the future. And I'm really glad to say, I think even now at Harvard, I'm pursuing kind of similar projects. So I've kind of stuck to my word.
Yeah, really helpful to all my students, all students nowadays. They know. So this is really something important to have in mind. Not only saying something, right? You actually have to do something in particular to showcase the admission officers. I'm capable to do this. I'm well prepared. I'm not just like a thinker. I'm thinking about this, but I actually did a lot of work in terms of the major, right? Not only like the agriculture, environmental, but also can apply to other field as well. So how it affect you, this research program beyond the academics? Does it like a more like a long term?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was about mindset. And
Mm,
it taught me that I am able to kind of do something completely new and different. I had never done research before. And once putting in a lot of work and effort and working with the right people, I was able to, achieve something. And I think that was really helpful for my self-confidence and my ability to pursue things that I wasn't sure about, but I wanted to. So, going about like the college application process for me, I was like, oh, I've already been able to approach research, something I'd never done before, and succeed. Maybe
Mm.
that can be the same thing for these college applications. So I think a lot of it was like confidence beyond the academics.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And so finally, right, all like you are already a senior student for all the other students we're currently working with. So please, if the students curious about the research but feels like they're not ready yet or they don't know where to start, what is your suggestion, your piece of advice to all of them?
You just got to start. You just have to start. There's genuinely no time to waste.
Mm,
High school students, you're already juggling so much. And I think if this is something you want to do, you shouldn't concern yourself with the fact you're not ready or you don't know where to start because you will be able to answer those questions and those concerns. And I think with that, for me, the most valuable thing was having that support, from Scholar Launch. So how can you not only get started, but get started with a team of experts that can help guide you to answer these questions? I think would give you a lot of confidence to actually be able to say, yes, I am ready and I do know where to start in my research journey.
yeah, that's terrific. And I have one thing just out of curious, nothing related to the research program, because I do have like Australia students before. So in terms of the application cycles and the time you actually go into the college, there are actually 9 months gap, is it? You finish your
Yes.
school by December and your school year start from September. So did you do anything like interesting in the 9 months? What did you do?
Yeah, so I didn't get into Harvard until March.
Yeah,
So until that point, I was unsure whether I was going overseas or not.
yeah.
So I initially was at an Australian university for a month, and then
Okay.
when I found out I got into Harvard, I left that university, Melbourne University, and I actually just tried to work. I did some travel, spend time with friends and have fun because you were able to you did all that hard work. It's time to take a reward, and I think that's something that I really enjoyed because it does take years of work and investment, but it does pay off.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I was imagine if I had like a 9 months, I can doing nothing, what I can do. I was just thinking about this question. So last time I do have another Australia students. So when I calculate the timeline, I say no, there's a 9 months difference. Did I calculate wrong? But actually it's correct. So yeah, definitely. I hope you had a wonderful summer, right? Summertime. Oh, for you it's the winter, right? It's the summertime, December to like
Yes.
is the winter. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's pretty much about the Chloe's sharing for today, and I'll give a little bit of introduction about the Scholar Launch. So we're actually a group of educators from Harvard, Yale, and Dartmouth help students around the world transform the interest into the tangible outcomes. So for now, we have 95% of the students got admitted to top 50, 74 got into top 30 universities. We're working with over 420 mentors from leading universities. And like Chloe, we have over 2,600 alumni from 16 countries and regions. So these are some of the summer programs that we're still enrolling, and but it will start very, very soon. Today, tomorrow, the latest will be next Saturday. So if parents you're interested in one of the programs, so students are still looking for some summer activities, definitely this could be a good choice. So I'll just leave here, and if parents you get any Q&A questions you want to ask Chloe, you want to ask me, you can just feel free to send it to the chat or just open your mic, ask the questions. I think we did cover a lot of information today. So yeah, and of course, meanwhile, while we're waiting, so if interested in one of the programs that are listed in the last page, there's two steps of the application. First, you have to complete the intake form, and then you will complete the interview with one of the interview officer. So we can determine whether this is a correct right fit for you or this is not. But yeah, I think there's no more question coming in. But even though there's an email address, you can always reach out to us. And thank you all the parents for joining us during the holiday season, holiday. So happy holidays. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. Bye. Bye, Chloe. Bye. Enjoy your summer. Bye.